All right. Going to call us to order. Hello, everyone. Jodine, has attendance been taken?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So now we're going to have a vote for closed session. Can I get a motion to move to closed session for discussion of real estate?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? This is a roll call vote. So hold that thought.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Hadley?
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman?
Yes.
Trustee Solomon?
Yes.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Trustee Trudeau?
Yes.
All right, going to closed session. We'll be back at 7. Thanks, everyone. Go. All right. Just calling us to back to order. Jodine, have you taken attendance again?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next up, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Consent agenda passes. Do we have any public comments?
No public comment.
Okay, next up, we have the financial report with Eli.
All right, so financial report begins on page marked 23. So our general fund cash balance, not including investments, is 11.3 million. Just a reminder that at the October 24 board meeting, trustees approved a transfer of about $2.4 million to the capital fund. You can see that in the spike on the top row of the chart there. Then it declined as we transferred that money back into the capital fund. So tax receipts, we've received $21.4 million so far. That's 99.8% of the budgeted amount. That's about normal for this time of year. Our unrestricted fund balance, so that's money that is not designated for any other purpose, $7.2 million as of January 31st. That was about 4.5 months of operations, and that's about where you want it to be, about a 30%. Then if we turn to the next page, so our total revenues are 59, then this is including the accrued revenue. So this is, even though we've received more money, this is as we realize it. So we have received 59.9% of budget after 58% of the fiscal year. That's good to be running a little ahead. And you can see so far, we've actually received $23 million. That's the actual cash receipts. Our year-to-date expenditures are $11.1 million. That's 50.9% of budget after 58.3% of the fiscal year. So we like to see that, but of course, we will have some of that will catch up in the summer as we start to have summer expenses come in. So that's to be expected. But it looks like we're on a good track to be able to bank a little bit more for the capital fund this year, depending on how the rest of the year winds up. And yeah, so far, that was the increase in net assets, about $2 million as of January 31st. And after 7 months of the year, we still want to watch copier expense. That's a really small line. Legal expense, repairs and maintenance, software licenses, utilities, and capital outlay. Those are the ones we'll be talking about as we get a little bit closer. And if you flip to page 27, looking at lines that are above 58%, you can see the state aid that comes in big chunks, so we've already received that. Same thing with penal fines, so those are running ahead as expected. That's why I have totals up to 59.9% of our revenue received after 58.3% of the year. All three of the numbers and personnel are on track with each other. That's where we like to see it, make sure that none of those are out of whack as the year goes on. And just looking at which of these are above 58, we've got legal expense, which is a small one that keeps ticking back down. But we'll see as we have discussions with the city, that also incurs some legal expense as well. So that's something that may need an adjustment toward the end of the year. The only other one down there is repairs and maintenance. We've done a lot of big projects, but that might need an adjustment toward the end of the year as well. And then software licenses is continuing to tick back down. We'll see how that one winds up. And utilities, pretty much right on the line, but it has been a colder winter than expected, so that shows up in the gas bills. Capital outlay, that's just about the rate at which we spend that, so I'm not concerned about that. That line won't likely need an adjustment. And that brings us to the end of the financial report. Any questions?
All right,
Okay.
great. Thanks, Eli. Next up, we have committee reports. I'm going to ask Aiden to do the executive committee report because I missed it.
In executive committee, we had a preparation of our discussion today for the exciting news that came out, MLive, Ann Arbor News, everywhere else, about a partnership with the city with the ambition of creating a new library, consideration of Library Lane, as well as a potential ballot and charter initiative, talking about the strategy there, as well as preparing for today, which felt like a very big moment, which we're very excited about.
Great. Thanks, Aiden. Next up, we have the Budget and Finance Committee report from Lisa.
Great. Budget and Finance Committee did not meet. However, the committee did receive RFP responses from 5 audit firms. We're planning interviews with some of those candidates and should have a decision made by next meeting.
Great, thanks. And Facilities Committee from Scott.
Yep, the Facilities Committee met on, excuse me, February 4th. There was not a whole lot of big news. We got a bunch of updates on sort of various facilities things, including the youth department, which we were told would be open by today, probably. It's not open by today.
opening
but
Wednesday.
I saw the
Yes.
sign on the door that said it will be opening on Wednesday, so it'll be exciting to see that space open back up to the community. And then the old Friends space on the first floor, that is the temporary space for that, can start to get prepared to be ready for vendors, for artists and artisans, as a temporary space going forward. So I'm excited to see that be able to move forward as well. Otherwise, we're just waiting on drawings from, as of the beginning of the month, we were waiting on drawings from Terracon for the outside, but that's sort of in the cladding falling off the side of the building, not falling off the side of the building, hopefully. Work is still ongoing to prepare for more work going forward as we investigate that. We were waiting for mechanical contract RFP responses, so I'm sure we'll be seeing those come in coming soon, and that the expansion of the secret lab, the space outside of the secret lab, was underway. So I'm also excited to see those little transformations we're making to this building as we're making the most out of it while we have it. So and then the last thing was the plan is change procedure for booking certain rooms, which I don't know, is that landed yet, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically due to capacity issues, the
Right.
multipurpose room and the west side room are no longer offered for outside rental.
Outside bookings, yeah, because too much in contention for library and library partner usage, yeah. And that was everything we talked about then. And I'm sure we'll have more exciting things coming up as we start to talk to the city about the potential for what might happen next.
Great, thanks, Scott. All right, next up, we have the library report with Eli.
Okay. So here's our report for this month, the stat of the month. We're looking at Bite Club membership here. So as of February 24th, we have 487 members. So it's been growing pretty steadily since launch in August. We've been really learning what works and what doesn't work with engaging the audience. People are really excited about it. They really like getting the stuff. We've seen Bite Club t-shirts around town. And I've been offering tours of the downtown library to Bite Club. I just did 3 of them over the past week. You get to see the air handler, you get to see the legendary sewage crocs, all the points of interest on the behind-the-scenes tour. So that's something that has been happening, and we'll continue doing those. But we're really having a great time with this audience so far and looking forward to continuing to work with them. Just as an event report, the Ann Arbor Fiber Arts Expo was February 9th. We had 3,215 people through the door, 33 different vendors. It was a very successful event, sort of become a Super Bowl Sunday staple for us. And then we had Aaron Draplin, graphic designer with some Michigan roots. So he was here for a double event on February 13th. We had an afternoon workshop and then an evening lecture. Had easily 200 attendees for that, and that was a very well-attended event, and everybody was happy to hear what he had to say and see his great designs. He was a summer game designer for us, I believe, 2020, and he also, we worked with him on the field notes that we had for Secret Lab and AADL field notes. So he's been collaborated with the library many times, a really cool designer. In the community, we teamed up with the Ann Arbor Art Center for the Main Street Ann Arbor's Galentine's Day on February 8th. The Art Center offered a fabric bookmark making event in their space, with both organizations donating items for a grand prize drawing to be given to one lucky Galentine's Day event goer. So that was a great partnership with them. We're a little far off the beaten path for a Main Street event, so it was great to be able to partner with the Art Center on that. In the community, Fifth Avenue Press was recently featured in a recent article in Michigan Alumni Magazine. This author, Leanne Sue, who graduated from U of M with a PhD in 2023, and collections manager Sarah Waddell, who is a graduate of the School of Information from 2007, were both quoted in the piece. And she's the author of Peri Peri Paprika, which is one of our science fiction. It's cozy science fiction. I love this book, and I highly encourage you to read it, especially if you like science fiction and or cats and or extremely realistic near future propulsion systems. Because Leanne is a real rocket scientist, so she wrote about that, and it's a terrific book. I encourage everyone to check that out. Today, we had the honor of hosting 6 library staff from Kazakhstan. They all were visiting through a program for Rotary International. They're visiting a bunch of libraries across Michigan. They spent the whole day with us. They visited the downtown library, they visited Westgate, and they toured the ALF this afternoon. They come from libraries of all sizes. Many of them are work in a city of 2 million people, so it's like real city stuff. And it was very interesting to hear what their questions were and how many libraries are the same and yet different around the world. So it was great to get to meet them and their interpreter, who we worked with all day long. So thanks for coming. Here's our staff spotlight for this month. This is Anthony DeVee. He's a library tech. He'll be 15 years at AADL in March. He was hired as a part-time book pro in 2010. He was promoted to a full-time book pro in 2012, promoted to a full-time desk clerk in 2015, and then promoted to a full-time library tech in 2019. When I'm not running around to put together a music tool request for a patron's last-minute party or performing surgery on a sewing machine, I enjoy hiking, taking photos, and drawing silly cartoons. And I love this caption, a photo of me with some dogs that aren't mine. And there are a lot of dogs in that photo. Anthony does great work here for us at the library. And if you ever check out a tool, it's a guarantee that Anthony has touched that tool and gotten it ready for you. So our mention of the month, Pets of Bike Club. This is Susie, my 4-legged reading buddy, reading the Service Bee, of course. Here's our compliment of the month. Patrons stopped by the desk to express gratitude for Josh and Russell on D2, that's the second floor desk, saying they did a fantastic job helping them print some documents. She said other libraries charge a lot for printing. She was grateful we didn't charge for the first 30 pages. And that was a comment on February 10th. Here's our complaint of the month. This is just an inquiry to ask for some follow-up on the order of behalf of the people who have requested the Randy Newman biography, A Few Words in Defense of Our Country. It has still not arrived in the collection yet. It's been on order for a long time, maybe since the end of November. It's a really worthwhile book to read. After I had first requested it, my sister surprised me with a copy for Christmas, and I noticed that about 9 or 10 people are still waiting for it. So this is a new problem that has just come up in about the past year, and that our vendors, who are distributors that serve libraries, we call them book jobbers in the industry, are beginning to get new releases from the publishers months after they are actually released. This is new. It hadn't used to be that we would get most new releases even before their street date. Now there's some items that we have not received 4 months post-release, and we ordered them prior to release, and we check with the vendor, and the vendor hasn't received their allotment from the publisher. So I suspect an MBA with a big idea somewhere at the publishers who has an idea about how to drive demand for their work, because this is clearly artificial and is clearly targeted, and there ain't anything we can do about it. So unfortunately, we can try to buy the materials at retail, and sometimes we do that in a pinch. But one of the things about the book jobbers that libraries use is often pay 40% less than retail. So if we start buying all the hot stuff at retail, the collection dollars are going to go a lot less far. We're going to have a narrower collection, fewer copies of things. So we're reluctant to get into that. So this is just something to put on your radar. It's not something we used to hear, but you might hear from people saying, why doesn't the library have this new book? And the answer is because our distributor has not been shipped any copies of it yet. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it is a thing that's happening. All right, I just wanted to mention that the annual report will be coming out soon, probably before the next meeting. Once you all have had a chance to see it, we'll be distributing that via email to everyone on our mailing list. And that's the monthly report. Any questions?
Great. Thanks, Eli.
Thanks very much.
Okay, next up we have an update on rezoning and redevelopment of the downtown library.
Okay. So we got interesting things going on. Today there was a news story and a press release from the city that we put together jointly that the library and the city have reached a shared vision for the 2 sites, the site being the surface of the Library Lane garage and the current site of the downtown library. And that the terms of this idea would be that the city would sell air rights to the library to develop above the garage for $1, and that the library would then build a single project spanning both sites, including a new library funded by Housing Above, as well as all of the things that you would normally find in a library, meeting rooms, collections and auditorium, as well as some business incubator spaces. Like as Scott said, we're starting to experiment with that now in the lobby. Then Down the line, when the city has finished discharging its bonds for the construction of the parking garage, the library and the city would execute a transaction for the library to acquire the parking garage itself and the parcel of land, so that the library would then own the space on which it lands as well as the foundation of the building. And that would be using a formula agreed on as part of the purchase agreement. That purchase agreement is still being negotiated. Once it is negotiated, city council will vote on it publicly and the library board will vote on it publicly. We hope to vote on that at our April 1st meeting, but that depends on how that discussion goes. This purchase agreement would only execute in the event of a charter amendment being passed by the voters. So the city council will be preparing a amendment to the city charter that specifies the use of that part of the block, and we will see what city council decides to put on the ballot, and then that will go to the voters, and if passed, then we will proceed with the purchase agreement and develop both sites as one combined project. So there's still lots of details to be worked out, but all the big thoughts have been agreed to between the city and the library, and it's a really excellent opportunity. A big reason why is because when we did the feasibility study back in 2019, part of what the numbers showed us is if we just develop on this site, it almost works, right? Heading into very uncertain economic times, we would like to have a little bit more overhead on the project. The other part of it is that the bigger the project, the more margin there is in it for development partners. The more margin there is in it for development partners, the nicer library we can shake loose of them in the process. So the bigger the project, the nicer the library at no additional expense. That is a key component of this, that the library won't be seeking a new millage as part of this project, the city won't be seeking a new millage, that the use of the housing above will be the generator for the revenue to be able to service the bonds that the library would take on to be able to build the project. So all of this will be happening in public, in that the RFP will be issued publicly when we're ready to request proposals for developers. That'll be public. The selection will be public. The decision will be public. All that will happen through the library board. And that if this all happens and the charter amendment passes and the city and the library execute this transaction, the city is out of it, in that the library will then be solely responsible for developing the sites and doing all the public engagement and operating the new facility. This is where I say that the library has a proven track record of doing exactly this. We built all of our branches within our existing millage and with no additional debt, and we operate them all in our existing millage, and it is the operational acumen of the organization that enables us to be able to build these professionally managed, highly utilized public spaces. We don't talk about this a lot, but we do operate the busiest library system in Michigan. And it is something that shows in the way that our patrons use the system and the way that they embrace it. And we're looking forward to this great new opportunity to bring a beautiful, inspiring, exciting new facility to the middle of downtown with a lot of places for people to live and a lot of places for people to do business and places to eat and shop and all kinds of other opportunities as well. Alongside that will be the zoning request to rezone these parcels of the current downtown library site, which we've been working on since November. That goes before Planning Commission on March 4th. So I will be there to present a similar slide deck to what we had at the rezoning meeting. And then we'll see what the Planning Commission's feedback is on it. Once they make their recommendation, then it will go before City Council for the final decision on rezoning the parcels. The staff recommendation from planning was that there's no reason that this shouldn't proceed. That's the way that they approach it, and that their recommendation was that all the infrastructure was there and that it was a go-ahead from a staff perspective. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape as far as that goes. And then the current parcel of the parking garage is already zoned to D1, so the entire two-site project would already be zoned to D1 if that is approved by City Council. So that's coming up next week, and we'll see how that goes, and then it will go before City Council probably later in March or early April, and then that will be done. So that's what's going on at the library. Any questions?
No, but yay.
Yay.
This is so exciting, and thank you for all the work you've been doing on it.
It's my pleasure.
Ditto.
We'll be talking about it a lot. Tonight's a short meeting. It might be the last short meeting for quite a while, because we'll have a lot of agenda items with all this stuff as it proceeds.
Yep. Speaking of which, that was the last agenda item. So Jodine, do we have any public comments? All right, then this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.